To order, roll call.
Mayor Surtee,
Here.
Vice Mayor Wilson,
Here.
Councilmember Barker.
Here.
Councilmember Evans. Here. Councilmember Rizzi.
Present.
Councilmember Struble.
Here.
Councilmember Schroeder.
Here.
You have a quorum, Your Honor.
Presentation and discussion on entering into a new contract with Independent Newsmedia Incorporated. And this is Jamie
Jamie.
for the Citizen Magazine.
Hi, council members, mayor. In your packet is a contract between the City of Apache Junction and the Independent. On behalf of my department, I am requesting that you authorize the city manager to sign the contract as well as future extensions up to 3 years. This is not a new service. We are currently under contract with the Independent. It's just getting ready to expire. With the assistance of the city attorney's office, a similar contract is ready for you to review. The contract allows the Independent to continue to produce the Citizen brochure 3 times a year. We use the Citizen for marketing our programs for the recreation, the library, and the police department, and there is no cost to the city to have this service unless we go above and beyond the bare basics, and all of that is in the contract.
Jamie, with print media struggling more and more every year, who else is capable of doing this out here? Do you know? Is the GBI, do they still print, or does everybody farm everything out anymore?
They're not willing to do it for free. That's the
Okay,
difference.
so these guys do it for free.
They do it for free. So they sell ads to offset the cost of doing the
Yeah.
print. And then I'm hoping that they see value of having that come out with their name on it. So they mail it out with their monthly newspaper in the beginning of August, and December and April are the 3 times a year. So we did try to go away from it a couple of years ago because we saw the writing on the wall. We thought that, this was the way to go. And as soon as we did that, we were ending up printing a lot of them just in-house because people still look for
Because
that.
we decided that older people don't always have social.
Well, it's older
computer.
people. It's also the families who want to take their book to their kids and say, what are all the things that you'd like to do? It's kind of like looking at that Christmas ad where you kind of circle what you
Yeah.
want to do for,
And there's a stack of these at the chamber too, right?
we put them everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Anywhere
there's
that
a-
will take one, we take them to the
Almost everybody
chamber.
that goes in the chamber grabs one for sure.
Yep, chamber, the preschools, we put them in the schools, just about anybody that will take them. Obviously, we get a lot more of them going out in the fall. So not very often do we have a lot left over after the fall. Sometimes we're making it right to our cutoff point. If we do see an increase, that is in the contract to be able to purchase more if we so choose. But at this point, we do not foresee that happening.
So this is on consent agenda. Does anyone have any more questions or?
No, as far
Discussion?
as the public liking them, we have them a stack at our shop, and the customers go through them. I end up having to go to the chamber to borrow
Get
some
more.
more because people want, they want to go through them and
Because
It's
your
something to
service
look
is so
at.
slow, they need something to read in there.
So, Jamie, is it every quarter then we get 24,000?
Yes. 20,000 are mailed to the 3 local zip codes that we have, with 85119 and
120.
85121. Yeah, those are priority, with Gold Canyon being the last priority, so depending on how many get mailed out. And then 4,000 are delivered in hand to us to distribute through the community.
And we've never gone over or bought any
No.
extra?
Mm-mm.
Is Al allowed to go to the podium
Yeah.
tonight?
And he takes them to the community neighborhood meetings too.
Correct. Yes, community neighborhood meetings, and we also keep some upstairs in the city manager's office as well, and some other city locations as well.
Al, we've always wanted to do more tourism-related things. Is there any way to push west with them? Do you think there'd be any good, or is this actually a draw on our services because we don't want to give a lot of free stuff away to people that don't actually live here?
Since most of the programs and services that are within the publication really are within the city, you don't want to go too far. Right now, like Jamie said, it goes to 85119 and 85120, which does spill a little bit
All the
over.
way to Ellsworth.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So you're still going to draw some of those folks to the MGC. You might, draw some of those folks to our special events, which of course are always listed in there, things like that. So that doesn't hurt. Any farther than that, I think is probably a stretch on the services that Parks does provide.
Okay.
But we will also use it for other marketing opportunities. So for example, there'll be a presence in the next two editions on the 2020 census, which does affect everybody in the region.
Can we envision this format staying the same?
Yeah, the only real changes in the contract are some that are based on, like, the size of the newspaper changed, so there's some change in that to allow for that to happen, but I'm the one who takes all of our information and gives it to them. It's a pretty seamless process. There's work entailed into it, but that's what happens when you take all of our programs and try to put them in one place, but.
Okay. Anyone else?
So just to clarify, we've asked other publishers to possibly do this for us, but Independent has been the one
We
that's
have.
stepped up and done it.
And at this time, we haven't found anybody that is willing to do it, but in the contract, you will see that the independent can leave and we can leave. We just have to give written notice of 30 days. So it's listed in there that if a different opportunity arose, and that's at their request also, at the independent's request, there might come a time where they're not making the money that they want to and they have to part ways with us. And then at that time, we would have to come up with a new solution.
Mr. Mayor, and it was 30 days, we changed it to 15. I don't know if you remember, yes. It's 15 calendar days, written notice. Either party can terminate.
And we have such long deadlines that it'd be sufficient time for us to find something before the next time period came up.
Thank you.
Because it comes out quarterly, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, 3 times a year, isn't it?
Yeah, August, December, and April.
Thank you.
Any other
think.
questions?
I think we're done.
Okay.
Okay. Presentation and discussion on the First Amendment to the Professional Services Agreement for copier purchase and managed print services for Heather, which is not Heather.
I like your hair, Heather.
You need to work on that. Mayor, Council, Mike Weaver, Public Works Director. We're currently in a 3-year professional service agreement with AOT, and we reached the end of that in August. The agreement gives us the option for 2 one-year extensions, and we are recommending to move on with another year.
You're happy with everything?
Yes, it's been good.
Okay. That's kind of helpful.
Pertaining to this.
Yeah, pertaining to this.
Heather has been very satisfied with the service, so if she's good with it, I'm good with it.
Any more questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Presentation and discussion on resolution number 19-20, authorizing data sharing, collaboration, and exploration of regional solution for homelessness. Bryant.
Thank you, Your Honor. Over the last several months, I've had the opportunity to work in coordination with the city managers of the East Valley, namely Chandler, Mesa, Scottsdale, Tempe, Town of Gilbert, and Maricopa County. At tomorrow night's regarding the realization that this issue of homelessness and working together can be better if we work in a coordinated manner, understanding not unlike many issues we deal with in the public sector, air quality, land use, and transportation, that it is over jurisdictional boundaries. And this is the first attempt in our area that would have an opportunity for these local governments to recognize, not binding us by a contract or anything, but by resolution, this coordinated effort that, hey, we want to have out in the public that we are willing to deal with this effort. Tomorrow night's City Council is an opportunity for you to consider this resolution that would have us work cooperatively and collaboratively in designing and thinking about and researching best practices. We are not alone in this. There are many different parts of the country that have been working on this and dealing with it at a much longer. So, the cities and towns over the last, I think Tempe's already approved it, and the Tempe manager has actually been the lead. But I feel like it's a first attempt. It does not obligate us by contract in any means, but that's really an opportunity to work, and not unlike what we do in MAG or CAG. This is focused just with the East Valley. We've recognized that there are certain strengths that each town and city have. For example, we do not have transit, and we do not have a bunch of jobs real close by in this whole issues relates to homelessness. However, we do have sometimes an opportunity to coordinate with maybe affordable housing or other assets. And so they've welcomed us to the table. I think it would be good for us to be a part of something like this.
Thank you for bringing it.
That
Any-
concludes my report, yeah.
Any questions? Looks like none. Moving on to presentation and discussion on resolution number 19-22, supporting the route of the north-south corridor as detailed in the Pinal County Regional Transportation Plan. And this one is very important. Bryant.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. Again, a multi-year effort as we work with, in particular tonight. I want to answer any questions you have about this path or this route. It's been a year and a half now since Pinal County voters have voted in a 5-cent sales tax to fund this north-south corridor, along with many other projects in Pinal County. So Matt, if you would, I would like to, before we go in and answer any questions, indicate with a hand the route that is the preferred route for all the Pinal cities and towns. And we've been working with the other cities and towns on the route that, as time comes and we have to work with the federal government and the state government, we feel like that if we, and everybody's agreed to this in terms of the staff level, that this route would be the best for each of the cities and towns. So if you start to the north, the green,
It's the green highlight.
which is for us, the eastern, that's a mountain view alignment as it comes down towards
What
the
do those
CAP.
numbers mean? W1B, EA1, E1A? Any idea?
It's
Just a naming way that ADOT uses to acknowledge which corridor is what. It's just a naming convention they come up with.
Okay, the green, instead of coming due south, it's going back towards the west. Why,
Where it hits Fry? Is that where it?
Right here, it comes and crosses back
Yeah.
over the canal.
Where it connects to the 24.
And this is, I believe we pulled up the map
So-
that was included to the voters in the voter information. It matches that. And I think that was part of Queen Creek and Santan Valley
I think I
residents in
understand
the
why,
beginning.
because the 24 will be over there
Yeah,
sooner.
Yep,
So it might as well go over there and meet rather than have it be a dead end. Yeah.
yeah.
And then the E1AB, what does that signify? The blue,
This one,
purple,
this one?
north and south purple.
Oh, yeah, those were other corridors on the ADOT options that they were looking at and
That would
discussed.
actually be better if the 24 was already down there, right? But the 24 may
argue,
be,
good
it may be years and years before the
So it's
24 gets punched through.
correct. So we're looking just in the area where the 24 is to get to Ironwood, a 3-year, piece right there to Ironwood is 3 years away. And then until the funding gets going, we're looking at 10 to 12 to get any of this green done. However, Pinal County is committed that this furthest north part needs to get going first.
And just so that my peers know what I'm talking about and why I'm saying that, because for those watching, we're not allowed to talk to each other. You know, it's open meeting law. So this is one of the rare opportunities where I get to talk to the other 6 up here. Everything that happens inside that line will develop much faster. And the further east it would go, that would make the growth be much bigger and grander. And also for annexation opportunities, anything that takes in that's already not in the city would surely then come into the city quicker, and we could send facility or, down there. So
Infrastructure,
that's
yeah.
why I keep mentioning that. And we've always wondered where the next boom will be, and it's probably going to be where this north-south connects with the 24. That's going to be a natural for, if you consider where the airport is, where power crosses, you know, with the 202 there by American Furniture Warehouse. That's what that's gonna look like. It's, you know,
Yeah, you have to kind of envision that in your mind's eye. The 202 that they're finishing off Ahwatukee was actually on a map 60, 50 years ago.
Yeah.
That the 101, 202 system. This is kind of our 303
and
version.
that's
It's-
where the Cracker Barrel will be.
Right. So one of the key things for staff, as we've been pushing, is to stay as further east as we can. That Ironwood alignment, the West 1A, is if the other cities and towns in Pinal County had said, that's the one we want, we would have been saying to you, no.
Yeah.
We're saying as staff that, and with the other counties, this green that comes down north-south further east will work as it coordinates over the next.
And that will also, the sooner that helps Globe and Superior too, right? The sooner they can hit that road, the better for all the people to the east of us.
Yes. And that provides opportunities. We work in our small area transportation plan that Mike is working with DADOT. As we continue to work there, that'll help build the grid that's not part of the north-south per se. These are wide swaths. That just shows an indication of area of what we call a design impacts to area. The truth is, the part that we mostly care about is where Matt's been focusing on, which is the northern part, which is right at the 24, and those areas right there.
All right, so what we're talking about, so I'll then sign a resolution that we're gonna
resolution
send on, right?
That would be, right, one resolution that have all the cities and
Yeah.
towns in Pinal County with the Pinal County. Then when ADOT comes and when federal comes, it would show a coordinated.
I think it's interesting that the E1AB crosses the Arizona Central Project in Queen Creek less times than the green, just because of the expense of the bridges.
Right. And that's part of the big part of the study that'll happen, if I understand it right, Mike. Mike's still here. But
It is, I can't.
that interaction in the transportation study and CAP, those are very expensive costs.
Yeah.
And while we're still way at the very top,
I can't.
you know, I think at one time they talked about cutting off our entrance at Old West Highway. So this should ensure that that never happens, right?
That is right. That is correct.
Because that's also a great corridor for growth there. There's commercial land there. That could be a great, you know, jobs center down there along Old West Highway. And we want to make that as
Still a
inviting
lot of
as we can.
potential there, for sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
And someday the rest of the state yard there that used to be the dirt pile that we finally got, will this finally get rid of that?
That's a great, I'm not sure what'll happen with that. That's another, something we could talk to ADOT about in terms of,
Let's give it to it.
they use it as a maintenance yard. They use it as an asset to use for other projects. And when they
Yeah.
built other projects, they took dirt
That's
out.
one of the faces of our city when you enter here. We're tired of that being there. We could make that such a pretty area coming into the city.
Mhm. And you just rezoned, not too long ago, some property that was on Old West Highway for some job
Yeah.
centers off of not too far from Tomahawk there. And
Right.
that's kind of what you're getting at there.
Place for a hotel.
That's the big picture. That's the big north-south freeway, $200 million. It's a big project, I know.
And,
It's hard to believe.
So,
of course, I don't have access to the county like we should have. They don't really pay attention to us, but with the lawsuit, I guess they're up to about $20 million has now been taken in with the half cent, and it's just sitting there, and it can't be used yet. And I've tried to get a question of what happens if we lose, what happens to that money? And I've asked them to make sure that the money stays out here because it's gathered out here. Don't let Maricopa County or Pima County take it. It's got to be, I mean, all the money's coming in, and if we lose, which worst case scenario, but, and I don't even know if this is the right time to talk about it, but we need to be ready for that.
Yeah, I'm told later this summer or early fall, but we've been hearing that for a while
Yeah.
now, so hopefully.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Brian, I have a question for you.
Yep.
So let's say someone was talking about building a master plan community, and where would that be a
So
good
zoom,
place.
zoom in, Matt, real close, and as we work closely with those who are interested in the state land, show where Portales was, how it was kind of in,
You can kind of see it in this gray outline.
Yeah.
So that would
That
be
was
the
kind of
whole
Port
area.
Dallas.
that was what it was in 06, 07, 08 timeframe. What folks are looking at now in the private world is more of a, Matt's doing it now.
That's the city
That's,
li- That gray is the city limits right now.
the dark gray city limits, the light gray is not. We're gonna,
Right.
as we work with the developer and state land, and as we work with entitlements, meaning zoning, you will have to view an annexation, an economic development agreement, and also, entitlements, all maybe on one night when you do work with somebody who wants to master
But
plan.
all right there, what's that, south of Elliott, that's the general area?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and some north of Elliott,
So,
because this is state land, even though it's in our.
and then this W1A is not an option right now. The option that they're talking about is the one that's kind of outlined.
Correct.
Green.
Right. and
In
that-
fact,
and
if-
that-
if-
That should not encroach or
Correct. That's one of the
discourage
main,
anybody from wanting to come in and build in that area.
correct. Had that light green and the work that we've done with the county and with state land been on W1A, I promise you, there would be tonight members of the state land department here. They are very strong in support of, they do not, there's Ironwood Road, and that's enough for their backbone of working through infrastructure in that area. The state land department, Pinal County, City of AJ, we've been talking about having this mark, which is the miles between the 202 East, and even with ADOT and Ironwood Road is only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 miles apart. They actually want, for when you're talking about the hundreds of thousands of cars that'll go on there, they need another couple more miles apart to help. And so ADOT has been in favor of the eastern Mountain View, north-south,
So I'm
for a very
saying
long
the-
time.
The party that's interested in building down here, they're aware of this.
They are definitely aware of this, and they're definitely supportive of the eastern route.
So Robert, you are the CAG representative now.
Yes, sir.
How familiar do you think all of the eastern CAG members are of this? Is that something where we can
We'll
prep
also
them to?
probably,
We've talked about it, and there was actually the reason why, can you go up a little bit?
well, I think CAG already passed a resolution, but we could double check that. That's the
Well, yeah,
eastern
I'm
route,
just
yeah.
Kind of, updating the mayor. Like, for example, how this E3 AC goes through Florence, they fought for that. They were like, no, we don't want this. It was originally this A3 BD, and once that came about, they're like, no, we need that to come swing around to
Far,
us.
far
right?
east, it helps everybody to be farther east.
Right, so we actually were going through this for about at least 3 meetings, and every one a little bit changed here and there. And this is the end result. And one of the biggest changes was to bring that thing down through Florence.
And if I can add, just to be real clear, this map represents preferences of municipalities within Pinal County. So we're all adopting, or requesting that city councils adopt this preferred corridor. It doesn't mean this is the final alignment. It just means what they'll go forward and study and create a final alignment at some point. So I just want to be real clear for the public that this won't represent some final alignment, although we hope it's very near this. But it's just our united effort to say this is what we want.
That's it. It's
Anything
off
else?
the- Nope.
Okay. Well, we will be back tomorrow at 6 o'clock for exec, and then our regular council meeting at 7, so we'll be adjourned.
I was trying to